Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars, welcome to another PlayStation Top 10 list. Now I've been really enjoying doing the PlayStation Top 10 lists over the last few months. And as you know guys, if you follow my content, follow my channel, I'm not really a big fan of like these multiplayer type games. I'm a bit old school in the sense of I like chilled out games. I've already done a chilled out list. I like strategy games, I've done a strategy list. But I also really like single-player experiences. So this is what this list is going to focus on. It's my top 10 favourite single-player games from the PlayStation 4 era mainly. But all of these games are all playable on a PlayStation 5, and some of them have actually had PlayStation 5 upgrades. So it's also a PlayStation 5 list as well, I suppose. This has been a really, really difficult list to put together. At one point, I think I had 27 games on the list. So it was a difficult task to whittle this down to 10. I've had to be pretty harsh with some of my decisions. But all of these games on this list are games that I constantly revisit in the sense of I've completed them multiple times for the most part. And I don't really tire of playing them. I might give it a year and then I'll go back and replay it or whatever. But the games that I will probably be continuing to play for many, many years to come in the next life cycle of the PlayStations, probably. So I hope you enjoy this list, guys. And as always, I would really love to hear in the comments what your favourite games are. Any that haven't made this list, and probably many of them will have been on the list initially of about 27 that I got to. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope you enjoy watching this video. So coming in at number 10 on the list is Dragon Age Inquisition. This was one of the very first games I ever got when I got my first PlayStation. PlayStation 4, should I say. And I was a big fan of certainly the first Dragon Age game. And this was released way back in 2014. And it absolutely blew me away. I've probably revisited this game and completed it 3 or 4 times now, maybe more. I've certainly revisited it and might not have completed it a couple more times than that. It's a brilliant, brilliant RPG first, but it is a single-player experience, even though there is like a multiplayer extension to it that I never really bothered with. It was like almost like it was tacked on. But as a single-player game, this absolutely blew me away at the time. It's got a great, great story. It's fantastic in a sense of you get your own castle that you've got to kind of build from the ground up and get like loads of different companions and go on loads of different quests. I do understand some of the criticisms that has come its way over the years, but at the time there was nothing else that could beat this game for me when I first played it, and it is definitely a fantastic single player experience. So, coming in at number 9 on my list, I'm putting Batman Arkham Knight. Now, you could make an argument, obviously, for the first 2 Batman games in this series to make this list. Of course you can. The reason why I've put Batman Arkham Knight in is I just think it was, other than the obvious error that they made in regards to the Batmobile, it was still cool to go around in the Batmobile. They just used it too much in regards to some of the puzzle elements in the game. It got a bit tiresome, and some of the tank battles and things. But everything else for me in this game was bang on and perfect. It was like they perfected everything they'd done in the previous 2 games, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. And this for me was like the ultra polished version of those 2 games. The open world was fantastic. Loads of familiar enemies, really cool Batman stuff that you could do. And with the DLC and stuff like that, you got some absolutely brilliant and nostalgic Batman costumes and Batmobiles that you could change into. It was like a dream, really, if you're a fan of Batman. This game, and it's another game I've constantly revisited and completed several times. And yes, there are some repetitive elements to it, but the repetitive elements of all the Batman games, the Arkham games. But for me, this absolutely nailed the formula, and I just really, really loved this game. And it looked so beautiful as well. The PlayStation 4 was really, really starting to come into its own in 2015, and when we're starting to get some jaw-droppingly beautiful games, and this game was no exception. Yes, the PC release was a disaster, but I'm talking about the PlayStation 4 release here, and it is absolutely fabulous. Now, coming in at number 8 on this list is The Last of Us. This was the last great game on PlayStation 3 and the first great game on PlayStation 4, I suppose you could say. It got a very quick remaster. Such a brilliantly written game, very hard hitting, one of the strongest story-based games of all time, really impactful, very emotional. It's probably a game I've visited the least out of all of these games on the list. And no, as yet, I still have not played The Last of Us Part 2 for obvious reasons, but it doesn't change the fact that this is still an absolute all-time classic PlayStation 4 game. So yeah, that's why The Last of Us has obviously made this list. Right, next on the list is the Mass Effect Trilogy, which can be found on obviously the Mass Effect Legendary Edition that was released earlier this year. Now the Mass Effect games are obviously classic games that go way back to the PlayStation 3 days. Wonderful games. I've played them all over and over again, and now that we've got this remastered Legendary Edition, they've all been given some love, care and attention. All the games, they look better than they ever have. They play really nicely, and I thoroughly enjoyed revisiting all these games this year and reviewing them on the channel. And again, these are games that I will consistently revisit, especially now with this new Legendary Edition pack that was released, where you get all 3 games included. So strongly advise you guys, if you've never played the Mass Effect games, you really have to do it. And for me, it's just a no-brainer that these games will make the list. I've just clubbed them one together here on this list because they come in one pack on the Legendary Edition. Now, coming next on the list, I'm putting Uncharted 4, which was released back in 2016. We was really starting to, at this point, to discover the real power of the PlayStation 4, and this was just jaw-droppingly beautiful when it was released. Now, I'm a big fan of all the Uncharted games, and there is much debate out there which is the best Uncharted game. They are all great. Many will point to Uncharted 2, and yes, in many ways, it is an absolutely fantastic game, and there's a great argument that should be the best Uncharted game. But for me, it's this one, because it absolutely built on everything that came before. It finessed everything. It improved everything. It looked stunning. The combat was fantastic. The puzzle elements were brilliant. The set piece action scenes were all absolutely jaw dropping. This game is the closest I've felt, in a lot of the games that I've played, to actually being in a movie. It was so brilliantly done. Stellar voice acting, and it was just one of the greatest video games, I think, to be released, full stop. But as a single player experience, absolutely blinding stuff. Coming in number 5 on the list is Ghost of Tsushima, that was released last year, and I believe this was my game of the year last year. It's no real surprise. The game is absolutely stunning. It's stunning to look at, stunning to play, an incredible game, incredible open world. The combat was absolutely brilliant. It's the best combat I think I've ever had in regards to sword play in a game. It kind of, I'm a veteran of like the Assassin's Creed games, and the sword play in this game just blew that out of the water. Brilliant voice acting, really enjoyed the story. And it's a game that I just adore. To say nothing of how beautiful it looks, it is definitely one of the best looking games on the PlayStation, and now the PlayStation 5 since it's had its update. And it is a game that is just flawless. It really is flawless, guys, and it's a game that I strongly recommend. If you haven't played it, you really must, even though I know many of you watching this will certainly have played it, because you know quality when you see it. So that's why this one is definitely on the list. Coming in at number 4 on the list is Marvel's Spider-Man, that was released in 2018 and just blew everybody away, myself included. There's been some decent, or in fact some very good Spider-Man games over the years, but they've been certainly on the decline for a number of years, and then Insomniac gave us something truly special and arguably one of the best superhero games we've ever been given on any console. Brilliant open world, they really nailed Spider-Man in regards to you felt really cool playing him. You had some really fantastic moves. The swinging felt amazing. It had some iconic villains. They just nailed this game, absolutely nailed it, and with some fantastic costumes as well. Miles Morales was a great follow-up, even though it is more of an extension of this game rather than a sequel. And of course, we've got Marvel's Spider-Man 2, which is coming. I don't think it's next year. Is it the year after? Something like that. We're going to get Venom in that game, so it's very exciting. But definitely, Marvel's Spider-Man was an absolutely, truly epic single-player experience. And it's a game, again, I constantly revisit because it is just so damn good. Coming in at number 3 is the legendary Skyrim. Now, I haven't put a release date for this one because it's almost become a meme at this point as to how many releases this thing has got. Obviously, it was back on the PlayStation 3, and then we've had it on the PlayStation 4, and now it has just got its PlayStation 5 upgrade with the new Anniversary Edition as well. So it's constantly being revamped and re-updated, and there's a reason for that. It's because it's bloody good. It's just an incredibly immersive, wonderful single-player experience that I thoroughly enjoy revisiting over and over again. I've even played this in VR as well. I must admit, that's my least favourite version of the game because it made me feel a little bit queasy in VR playing this, but it's still an absolutely timeless game, and it's probably a game that we'll all still be playing another decade or so from this, maybe even longer. I'm fairly sure we will. We're all desperately hoping the next game that they're going to give us, next Elder Scrolls game, is going to be as iconic as this one. We can only hope. Bethesda have dropped a few balls over the last few years, but surely they can't get this wrong, can they? The next Elder Scrolls. In the meantime, we've got Skyrim to continue to enjoy for many years to come. So coming in at number 2 on this list is Red Dead Redemption 2. A perfect game. This is a game that was released in 2018, and it's a game I've already revisited 3 times, I think, now. I just adore the game. It's just perfectly constructed by Rockstar. A brilliant playground for Wild West fans, an incredible open world, brilliant story, some of the best voice acting I've ever heard in a game. There's very few criticisms I could ever throw this game's way. It's just wonderful to play. I really enjoy revisiting this game and playing it. It's absolutely fantastic, and some of the most stunning graphics you've ever seen in a video game as well. An absolutely stellar release, and definitely deserving to be as high as this on the list. But coming in at number 1 on this list, and again, if you've been following my channel for any amount of time, this probably won't be a surprise for you. It is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. For me, this is my favourite game of all time. I have said that numerous times. It's flawless, incredible writing, incredible characters, and I'd not even played any of the Witcher games before I played Witcher 3, and that was the strength of this game. It's one of the few games I can ever remember playing that it way exceeded my expectations. I'll always remember looking at the trailers and the gameplay footage of this game before it was released, thinking there's no way on earth they can deliver a game as good as what they're presenting here. And not only did they deliver it, they actually exceeded my expectations. It was better than they actually promised, and certainly better than I expected. Incredible game. Honestly, just achingly beautiful to look at as well, in many ways, and again a game I just endlessly enjoy returning to. So I implore you, anybody out there who's still, the 2 of you out there who have never played Witcher 3, you have to do it. It's dirt cheap to pick up now, even with all the expansion packs, and the expansion packs and the DLC that you get in this are amongst the best ever given to us. Yes, CD Projekt Red, of course, dropped the ball with Cyberpunk, but they delivered an all-time classic with this one. So there you go, guys. That is my list of my top 10 favourite single-player experiences on the PlayStation, primarily on PlayStation 4, but as I've said, all of these are playable on PlayStation 5, and many of them have their own PlayStation 5 upgrade. Let me know in the comments, guys, if there's any I've missed. I know there's lots I've missed because there was plenty on my list before I whittled it down to the 10 that I presented here. So thank you very much for watching. Give me some ideas as well, guys, for some PlayStation lists you think you would like to see on the channel. And if I can do it, I will definitely put some work in and get that up for you on the channel. So thanks everybody for your support. I'll be back with plenty more content reviews for you on the channel very, very soon.